But aloha atu, Janine. Lovely to be on the last time with you. I understand it's your last day on the show.
It is. It is. It's bittersweet. It's been an incredible almost 5 years. Lima tausaga o le tautua for ilunga le radio Samoa. So, but very excited about the new beginnings that are yet to come. But thank you, Minister Barbara Edmonds, for this morning. I see you wearing a jacket. Malu le tau I nai le lau mua?
Oh, this is just my work jacket. That's why it's red. So I've got a busy day here in Porirua. Today is the opening of Te Moana Nui Kiwa, which is our Polyfest for all our
Ah.
Porirua secondary schools. I've also got an economic development meeting with Māori iwi leaders later today and some business visits. So just this is for the start of the day, and then I will get dressed, but it is very cold.
Well, regardless, you still look beautiful and stunning this morning, Barbara Edmonds. Now, a matala tātala no anga whaamole I le retirement village lea o le ase tāua o le whale nei I tutonu o le vaenga leo New Zealand. What's the
Yes,
importance of it?
yeah. So on Wednesday, I released what's called a retirement villages consultation document, and because our government's committed to ensuring that we have safe, secure housing for our older people, and the law for retirement villages is around 20 years old. So Helen Clark government brought it in. And there have been many complaints over the year, but most recently in 2022, the Retirement Commissioner released her responses to basically what are consumer rights issues that have been raised by retirees who live in the villages. So my team has had a good look at it, and what we've done is we've released a document asking for people for their views on it. So that's around when a person moves into a retirement village. So, for example, clarifying some of the contracts, maybe making it easier so they understand it. Maybe, and then when they live in these retirement villages, we're proposing that the retirement villages pay for the repairs and maintenance of the chattels inside the unit, because actually most contracts it's on the person to pay for those repairs and maintenance.
Wow.
And then also when the person leaves the
Mm.
retirement village for whatever reason, if the unit is vacated, they still have to keep paying the weekly fees
Wow.
until the retirement village operator
Find someone.
puts someone in.
Mm.
So for some people, the complaints have been, that's up to 18 months for them. Around their fees, or what happens is when they go into a retirement village, they pay what's called a capital sum, so an amount of money. And sometimes that payment, again, is not up to 18 months. The retirement villages moved quickly after that 2022 review to try and make things easier, but the government is now looking at making some of those changes law.
Wow. Very important, the retirement village proposal. Ile whaalongo atu le nisi fo o vaenga. Yeah, for example, having to still pay when you've left. And so is there a number of, say, days or weeks, or is this just open until someone is able to move into that building?
Yeah, so it depends on the contract with the village, but and again, can be weeks, can be months, can be a year. It all varies, but either way, a lot of the retirees or their families, because sometimes they leave the village because they've passed away. Their families have complained to the Commerce Commission, so the Commerce Commission is doing an investigation, but also to the Retirement Commissioner. So we thought, well, a lot of the operators are doing really good and are, stopping the fees after a certain amount or returning the capital sum after a certain time. But we want to be able to ask the public what their views are, because over 48,000 people live in a retirement village.
Wow.
And we project in 2033 that's going to be over 80,000 people. So we need to get on top of this and have a look at how we can change the law after 20 years.
Incredible. Now, Barbara Edmonds, this week we have had the latest results from one of the News Hub polls, and we do see the popularity more le lango ina fo'i o le Labour Party. Le walui lalo le fo'i numero tangata o lo lango ina I le results for ipo fai unga na maua mai I le News Hub poll lea. What is the feeling or what is the atmosphere like within the Labour Party after seeing the trend o lo alui lalo le lango tangata I le te mine I le party leo le Labour?
Yeah, we have a really tight team, we genuinely like each other. We support each other. And, it's been a tough time. It's been a tough time, not just for politics, but actually even for our people. We've just come off 3 years of COVID. We've had some pretty major weather events in the country. So for us, it's a reminder, stay focused on the things that matter to New Zealand. And I accept, we've had some internal things that we need to clean up, and we're trying to support our members through. But now is the time, not long until the election, we're just going to go hard and just stay focused on what matters to, New Zealanders.
Yes. And so we had the arbitration panel in terms of the teachers and their salary, which has been accepted by the Leaua Taliaina Limatanga Luenga wa Onga, received from the Ministry of Education. But there are still some areas where we could get more financial help, for example, our people. So Chris Hipkins has ruled out the wealth tax. Could I ask, why is this? O ani awhianga fo I o tangata pea whai e whatuina se wealth tax. Why not bring the wealth tax to insert more money into the government? Why is Labour so against the wealth tax? E mawhaiana e whamatala mai lea whaenga whamole Minister?
So to clarify, the Prime Minister has said that under his leadership, we won't be having a wealth tax or a capital gains tax. And the reason is that he made that decision is that currently we have a very uncertain economic time. So as you'll see right across the world and in New Zealand, it is quite uncertain as to what's happening. Forecasts are not coming in the way they are. So, our Crown accounts revenue has come down in some areas. It's also gone up in other areas. So the Prime Minister has made the call that at this time to keep it simple. So Budget 2023 is part of that. We looked at focusing the targeted support to the families that didn't drive up inflation. So part of the reason why it's quite tough for people is it's costing a lot more to live. Food is more expensive, etc. So what you need to do is you can't just give a wide universal sort of, some people say, provide tax cuts. To do that, as we've seen in the UK, when the UK decided, their Prime Minister decided to do that, their market tanked. And what that means by their stock market tanking means that people were less likely to invest in New Zealand, which means it impacts on jobs, it impacts on capital that businesses have to run things that they need to do. So rather than doing wide tax cuts, we decided to do focused support on families that didn't drive up inflation. So that it's definitely not on the table for Labour, not at this time because of the economic uncertainty, not at this time while we have Chris Hipkins as our Prime Minister. And in a couple of weeks' time, we will have our election policy manifesto where the leader of our party, which is Chris Hipkins as well, will provide what our tax policy is. And I'll be happy to take the show through that as the revenue spokesperson for our party.
And how is the portfolio going, Minister Barbara Edmonds?
It's full on, but it's lovely to have the mix of economic development, associate finance and revenue together. You really see what is working in the different areas, how we can bring them together to work better, because in the end we want all of our people in New Zealand to prosper from it. So I'm really looking forward that, come back October, hopefully I still have the portfolios and being able to do some real big work on it, because we don't have much time before the election. I think it's less than 80 days now.
Less than 80 days, yes. October is it's going to fly by so fast. But To end our talanoa this morning, Whaamole, Honourable Barbara Edmonds, I see that there was a first of its kind public housing development I Aukilani. E mawhai ana e whalau i te lele vaenga lea. So is this going to help with the shortages of houses and that we see in Auckland?
It is definitely a help. So anybody that's been in the Auckland CBD, so just up the road from RT Centre is Grays Ave. So if you go to the top of Grays Ave, you hit Ponsonby Road, On Grays Ave, just yesterday, we've opened the first of its kind in our country's history. So it's 274 units or apartments. So they're absolutely beautiful. So 200 of them are public housing. 74 of them will be for private sale. But what is really amazing about this project is that we have social support sectors on site. So through help with the Auckland City Mission and Ngāti Whātua, there's a clinic on site for medical help. They've got a jobs and skills hub on site. So it's not just about basically putting people together in these tall apartment complex buildings and leaving them, but actually providing wraparound support. So it's a start for us. It's over 274 units or 276. But either way, this is just part of us trying to build more houses because that's the only way you really bring rents down. More supply means less demand, which means that the cost of being able to afford or live in a home is cheaper. So we've also opened up another we acknowledged a milestone, stage 1 of 80 units here in Wellington as well, just on Tuesday. So, we're trying to build, apparently in the last 6 years, 1 in every 7 public house that's available now was built by our government in the last 6 years.
Whātei lava, Honourable Barbara Edmonds. Really appreciate your time this morning, and hopefully it starts to warm up I le laumua I Wellington I le tai au nei, but have a great weekend. All the very best.
And thank you, Janine. You have been an inspiration to our young Samoan women, and you've been inspiring to me to help me with my language and to encourage me that, you just have to start it from there. So wish you all the well for the next chapter, and we will see you again, my sister.
Thank you again, Honourable Barbara Edmonds. And of course, we shall see you again